This is All Indiana Sports.
All right, I got a letter rip in honor of Ted Marchibroda, what he used to say to Jim Harbaugh before every game. This is a blind ranking of the NCAA moments in the tournament, all right? So there are
six. This past one? Or?
Yes, there are 6 moments from this past tournament that I want you to rank. You don't know what I've included and what I haven't. So here we go. First one is Alvaro Figueres with the essentially game winner against Florida to send Iowa in the Sweet 16.
See, there are a lot of great moments in this tournament. I have no idea what you're throwing at me here. Wasn't even prepared to talk basketball today. So this is a big one because this shut down a potential champion that a lot of people had in their brackets. Yep. Huge bracket buster.
And defending champion.
Exactly, and defending champion. So, and Florida looked really, really good up until this game. But the reason why I'm not going to put it super, super high is because this game didn't affect the entire outcome of the tournament.
Okay.
If I would have went on to win, I think this would have been a lot bigger. But since it's not, I'm going to give it a good 4.
Okay, 4. All right, Chase Johnston for a high point, scoring his only 2-point basket of the season on the breakaway to beat Wisconsin 12-5 in the first round.
It was first upset of the tournament, first big upset of the tournament, if I remember correctly. I didn't know the story behind his 2-point. That was his first 2 points. But it's first round. It is a 12-5. Wisconsin traditionally isn't that good against that type of in this scenario. I'm going to give it a 5.
All right. And then Otega Owe with the half-court shot in the flow of the game to send it into overtime. And Kentucky eventually won the game.
This, I think, is a big one for me. You're in a weird scenario. They just scored. You got to go down, either win it, tie, something. And you end up tying it, putting it into overtime, and then you end up winning overtime. If you lost overtime, that definitely lowers it, but you won overtime. I'm going to give it 2.
All right, 2. Braylon Mullins, game winner to send UConn into the Final Four. Much needed. All Duke had to do was hold on to the ball. What do you think?
I think this was a lot more luck-based than the Kentucky one. I'm going to put it 1 lower. I'm going to put it at 3. Same type of scenario. Except this was a game winner, not a game tied. Send them into overtime. But I think the UConn and the Kentucky one are interchangeable. But
all right,
this one's going to go 3.
All right. So then we got Dylan Darling beating Kansas. His only basket of the night was the game winner with 4 point something left.
Great basket. It was his only basket, but you look at the grand scheme at St. John's and Kansas, neither team really did much. I think it's got to go 6. I think the last one you kind of saved for the number 1 spot.
It is the number 1. It is your number 1 because you blind ranked them. It is the missed basket at the end, half-court shot from Vanderbilt to send Nebraska into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think this is a great one. I was praising Nebraska the whole tournament, even a little bit before it. Honestly, I thought Nebraska was the Big Ten team to beat. Obviously, it was Michigan, knowing what we know now. But I think Nebraska had a great run, and sending them to the Sweet 16 this way was very unfortunate for Vanderbilt, right? Was that the team?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate for Vanderbilt. I watched it. I was like, wow, how did that not go in? I don't know if it deserves the 1 spot. Obviously, it's there because I made it be there. But I think any one of the 1, 2, 3, very interchangeable any way you throw it. But I would say my list is pretty good.
All right. I love it. Well, I'm Kevin, and this is my son, Liam. We are excited to present to you the All Indiana Sports Podcast.
Welcome back. This episode, we are going over the Colts pre-draft options. This year is a little different with the Colts without a first-round pick because they gave it away to the Jets. So we will bring in a distinguished guest to help us work through the behind the scenes as we go all in.
Yes, you can follow us on TikTok and Instagram at All Indiana Sports. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. It is time to bring in our distinguished guest. Please welcome to the show Mr. Matt Mosley of Central Texas ESPN Radio and former writer at ESPN.com. Did I miss anything, sir?
Well, only the show that you're actually on with me, the Matt Mosley Show on Rogue Media. But thanks for having me, guys. And I've been mostly focused on golf, so I'm happy to get back into some draft talk. But I've been monitoring the Masters and then monitoring closely all this transfer portal business. And Liam will be happy to know that, I'm assuming he also loves the Indiana Hoosiers if he's on this podcast with you. Yes. And they are in on several players, and they're spending heavily, it would appear, and they're in some dogfights right now, but it looks like they could end up adding like a great point guard, a scoring point guard, and a tremendous big man. So kudos to you guys, but happy to talk some NFL draft with you, any direction you guys want to go. I'm dug in right now on Cowboys, but happy to share any knowledge I might have on the Colts as well.
Yeah, you were a Cowboys writer. You're deeply entrenched in the Cowboys, and so we wanted to kind of get your take based on where the Colts are and where the Cowboys were. So Liam has a question for you.
Okay.
Yes. When was the last time that the Cowboys did not have a first-round pick?
I didn't know this was like a trivia thing. I literally thought I was coming on to share my opinions.
We do have the answer for you. We didn't know if you knew offhand.
Interesting. The last time, because I was covering it, and they had this one draft in trying to think. I was with ESPN.com, and they had this whole class that they took, and their first round pick was 1 year they had Jacob Rogers, and then 1 year their first picks were a guy from Western Illinois, a linebacker, and then a guy from Ball State named Robert Brewster. And that was the class of about 2000. Oh my gosh. I was in New York for this, and they didn't have a first round pick, and it was 2010 or 11. Anyway, so yeah, those years, although one of those years where I was really mad at myself, Liam will like this. In 2011, I think it was 2009. It was 2000. Right around then, they took Tyron Smith in the first round. The Cowboys did. And they could have had J.J. Watt in that draft. But Tyron Smith, and both of the guys ended up being, Hall of Fame caliber type players. And I had been tipped off early in that draft process that they liked Tyron Smith out of USC. And so I was going to look great because I started putting that out there forever. And then I think that freaked out the Cowboys. And it was the day before the draft or the week before the draft, they talked me out of it. Somebody from the Cowboys said, no, we're not taking Tyron Smith. So I backed off that prediction. And who did they take, of course, but Tyron Smith? And again, that would have been circa right around 2010 or 11 or somewhere in there. But I do remember all that. But yes, I would guess around 2008 or 9 on that class where they didn't have a first round pick. What was the answer?
It was 2019. It was fairly similar to what the Colts did. They traded at the trade deadline for Amari Cooper in the 2018 season.
They didn't have the pick because they brought in Cooper. That makes sense. Okay.
And so the Colts now traded their first round, actually the next two first rounders, but we're only going to focus on this year, for Sauce Gardner at the trade deadline. And so now the Colts end up without a first round pick. That 2019 draft, probably the most notable, I would imagine, would be Tony Pollard in the 4th round. Tristan Hill in the 2nd round, Connor McGovern in
UCF. Yeah, McGovern's maybe still in the league somewhere, but that was a mess. What was the year? You said it was 2019.
Right.
What was the year TJ Watt was selected and the Cowboys got Charlton?
17.
Yeah.
It's 2 years earlier.
Right.
Yep.
2016 that was 2016 was a big draft for the Cowboys because they got Zeke at number 4 overall, and then they got Dak in the 4th round. And no matter what people love him or hate him, getting Dak Prescott in the 4th round has been pretty, but Cowboys have lucked out. If you think about quarterback wise, going on about 20 years now.
Yep.
2003, they land Tony Romo undrafted, and he goes on to a 9 or 10 year decorated career, right? And then Dak, who they wanted? They actually had 2 guys they liked in front of Dak. They wanted the guy Paxton Lynch, who I think his season just ended in arena football, and then the guy from the Michigan State, Connor somebody. They liked him in that 2016 draft, but they ended up getting Dak in 2016 in the 4th round, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah.
So the question then remains in that 2019 class. We're gonna go through the receivers that were drafted in that class, and you have to identify whether those receivers were better or worse during that time that Amari Cooper spent with the Cowboys. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Lead us off,
First
Liam.
one, A.J. Brown.
The A.J. Brown?
The A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown.
Drafted in the 1st round.
Titans?
Yep.
I would say that they've kind of had, I'm just trying to think how long did it take him to get going for them? I'm going to say that A.J. Brown, because Amari was probably better for the first 4 or 5 years of his career, and then Brown probably took over at that point.
Yeah.
On a whole, I'm going to say A.J. Brown ended up better than Amari.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Next one was DK Metcalf. And these are all really at the top of the draft.
Again, so
they may not have been there anyway at that point.
DK was younger than Amari. This is just, they weren't the same draft class. It's just that the Cowboys gave up their one to get him. I would say Metcalf, I kind of like, both of them were great. This is a tricky one because the Cowboys he did turn that season around when they traded that and they didn't have their 19. So that was the 19 season for the Cowboys. So it turned the season around, but by 2020, they had soured on him because he didn't get the shot. He didn't get the injection. And so they couldn't play him. And Jerry got mad at him. And so he was gone by 2021. So I would say most of these players are going to end up being better than, if I said their whole career, I think Amari had a nice career. I'll say that. Yeah. And he was a great pickup for the Cowboys because he got them to the playoffs that year they made that deal. All right. But overall, career-wise, DK, certainly compared to what he did with the Cowboys, DK a better choice.
Yeah. The last 2 then would be
Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean, he had a fine long time with the Commanders, so take him over Amari.
And Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, he's had a great run and certainly was great for the Niners. So, yeah, basically over the tenure that Amari had with the Cowboys, you take all of those guys. Now, the issue being I don't know if any of those guys were great enough immediately. They weren't as good as Amari. Amari was so good that he came in and immediately gave the Cowboys a jolt. But you certainly would have liked all those guys for their kind of the careers they've had. Now, the problem with Debo is that not everybody had as good a vision for Debo as like as Kyle Shanahan had, because Debo had, ended up getting used as a running back, and he's just a different kind of guy. And so some guys just end up in the right place. Although I think Metcalf, at least until Russell fell off a cliff or until they all kind of soured on each other, Metcalf was in the perfect place. I just feel like that there's one play in my mind where Metcalf went rumbling down the sideline that we'll never forget. Wasn't that a playoff game? Anyway,
something like that.
Yeah. He was awesome. But again, he just was a different. It's interesting that both Debo and Metcalf of that group y'all mentioned were just beasts. They were different. They were just different people than most wide receivers. Who is the biggest diva of all that group? Now that would be an interesting question too. But I know y'all may have
AJ Brown.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're almost at 3:30, and I've talked a lot. I'll let you guys get another one in, though. What do you have?
Well, then this is the dilemma that the Colts face: is this gamble. They spend it on a cornerback. So
yes, are there any corners in this draft who are possibly better than Sauce Gardner? Maybe not straight out of the gate better, but give him 4 or 5 years, same amount of time that Sauce has in the league.
Yeah.
Or do they have the potential to be?
Interesting, because none of these guys are going to be down there where the Colts are picking. I'm trying to think, and I know who both of y'all probably want them to take. You're both looking to see where Pons is going to end up, because
we may talk about him later.
Maybe.
Got at the top, you got Mansour Delane,
I know,
Rod McCoy.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know because the Cowboys are looking at these guys.
Yeah. But I'm just saying. Oh, I see what you're saying, though. If they had have taken one of those guys instead of giving up the pick for
the Colts would be at 14.
Where would they have been taking? Okay, 14. Yeah. No, before you even started listing those guys, I certainly have been studying Delane enough to feel really good about him. I think McCoy's a little bit of a dangerous one because you don't always love guys that sat out a season. I know he did. I know he put up good numbers at his pro day, but he's a little scary. Like we've been told on our show, Kevin, and you'll remember this, Liam may have seen this too, that the Cowboys had taken Jermod McCoy off their board because of the injury he'd had. They don't want a player with an injury past. They did that with their third-round pick last year, second round or third round. The kid from East Carolina that they took. If I think, I'm also trying to think of like Indiana, the Colts history with like Tennessee players and SEC players and like LSU players. And I'm just thinking of all these guys and Michigan players, because you just lost like one of your pass rushers. Payne is somewhere else now, and you got to replace him and 2 other edge rushers. And again, they only added up to like a 11 sacks and 21 quarterback hits, but it is 3 dudes who at least took up some of the pass rush space. You got Latu back or something like that. So anyway, I got a lot of thoughts going through my head. Y'all hadn't had a great elite pass rusher in a long time. So that would be tremendous if you could land one. But again, you were giving up all y'all. I guess Ballard's trying to become like the Rams in the whole F them picks type
not doing that great though. Not doing good at it.
Maybe not doing great at it, although Sauce, still a tremendous player.
For sure.
Is
he worth 2 firsts though? That's the thing.
Oh, I don't think so. But again, they were kind of trying to, when they did the deal for him, wasn't Daniel still healthy?
Yep.
So they were trying to go all in, and so
they were 7-1.
in some
they
ways
just got plagued with injuries.
Yeah, well, exactly. But it happens. In some ways, you have to admire the all-in nature of that because they were working on that knowledge. And then, of course, everything changed. And now it's like, well, now we're paying this quarterback who may or may not be ready, huge money, and we're bringing in this guy and that guy. Wait, where were we? Oh, wide receiver. I will say this, by the way, just so I can fire some random thoughts on you on the Colts. I know y'all are probably looking at that. You bring back the really great wide receiver who's like Mr. Yards per catch, of all time, it seems. And then, but you lose Pittman. So I think this is going to be very interesting to see because what happens in this draft, both at running back, after the two, and you got a good running back, but the two Notre Dame running backs, there seems to be a big fall off. And so people then could get backs in like the third, fourth, fifth round, right? And I find this fascinating at receiver because we can all agree that Tate is the first one. And then you get in this fight over like who kind of you like the most. Like Tyson's in that battle, the kid from Cooper from Indiana. You got about three dudes who are all kind of people just whatever their preference is, right? After Carnell Tate. So I think that's going to be interesting for the Colts in this draft because there's going to be a moment where you're like, man, we need another receiver. We're spending tons of money on this one kid who is great. I'm not saying he's not great, but you gotta have the receivers and you gotta get a pass rusher. And you spent so much of your capital on that secondary, and you're losing the captain of that secondary in the draft. I mean, it's an interesting. I was looking at y'all's stuff and like, you got three pass rushers walking out of there. You got to redo your linebacker. You traded that.
Zaire Franklin.
You traded that one. Did you trade him or release him?
Traded him to the Packers, but for sixth or seventh.
Yeah. And so you got to rebuild your linebacking core. You desperately need a pass rusher. And by the way, you don't have a first-round pick.
Let go of a safety too, young safety that got signed for $7 million a year somewhere else. Couldn't spare that money, so you got to get another safety to go with him because you have Cam Bynum, but you don't have like a strong safety now. So,
and now looking to trade possibly one of the top five nickel corners in Kenny Moore.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. It sounds kind of like miserable.
It's kind of rough over here. Last year was the year, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that because, like, there are all different versions of misery. Like, the Colts have been to a title game and been to and won a Super Bowl
They got two under the belt, so.
Yeah, but, like, since the Cowboys have been out in the wilderness forever. But then occasionally you'll look and go, oh, my gosh, there are a couple of these teams that haven't won a playoff game. The Dolphins have not won a playoff game in 25 years.
Yeah.
There's a team that hasn't Las Vegas. The Raiders have not won a playoff game in 23 years. So it's like every time y'all start to feel like horrible about yourselves –
at least we're not the Browns.
Team, you do have to look at some of these other, but the Browns have even won that playoff game since some of these things. The Browns just have that futility at quarterback, and it continues.
We're not the Texans.
It continues. Well, I mean, I would rather be the Texans right now. I mean, I know you hate them because of the division and all that. I get it, but
Stroud's the whole point.
I know, but I mean that defense is unreal. We're sitting there talking about all your questions. And you flat out have the defense in Houston to win big with. Yeah, you've got a major question. I do think they'll end up giving Will Anderson before this season a monstrous deal, and it's going to end up coming in at around like $50 million a year or something insane.
For sure. Something.
And then they don't know what to do at quarterback, so you just let that play out.
Yeah,
and you see what kind of year he has. But again, could he be? Was he as miserable and as horrible as he looked in the playoffs? Probably not. But that's what's on all our minds right now. He's probably not that. Like, Would I rather have him than Deshaun Watson? Yeah. Would I rather have him than Shedeur Sanders? Yes. Would I rather have him than anybody associated with the Cleveland Browns? Yes. The answer is yes, yes, yes. Would I rather have him than anybody in the NFC East? No. Like everybody in the NFC East is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, even the Giants with their guy. I would rather have the Giants quarterback right now than Daniel Jones. Certainly the Commanders.
You got one with a leg problem and one that can't get down. So
one that's asking for a leg problem, but
a head problem.
I feel like sometimes, Daniel Jones' floor right now is higher, but like that guy's ceiling, to me, is higher than Daniel Jones.
I think Daniel Jones is a very safe pick. Like very consistent. You know what you're going to get from him. You're not going to get too many crazy things. And whenever he's fully healthy, he'll get the job done. He may go for 180, a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. You're not getting anything crazy from him, but you're getting the job done. So
he's one of the most boring personalities and quarterbacks in the history of the league. Yep. But like you say, during that rise to 7-1, I know what they started to think, and probably all of y'all started to think. You start to think, oh my gosh, we literally may be the best team in the AFC, and maybe you were for a stint. And it's like, well, let's go do some. Let's up the ante, and let's go do this monster deal. It's be interesting to see if the Jets ever amount to anything, because they're just sitting there, just amassing picks.
Yep.
Like crazy, and just okay, Quinnen Williams, let's get rid of him. Sauce, let's get rid of. It's like at some point that receiver they have has to be like, what in the world did I do to deserve to still be hanging out around here? That would have been a great guy for the Colts to get. But I'm not saying they had enough ammunition for him, but that would have been like, whoa. Then you're scary at receiver. But they just don't have – I don't think they have enough. Now, what would be interesting is if they really wanted to come up and get a first-round pick, they literally could. They could use next year's pick, right? They could.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with us and giving us your insight from all your years of experience. Appreciate you.
Okay, Liam, Kev, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, Liam, keep him straight, okay? I hadn't had a lot of success with that myself, but I give you know him better than I do. So thanks, buddy. Good to meet with you.
Yeah, good to meet you. Thank you for coming on.
All right, see you guys.
See you.
So that is our insider giving us insights into where the Colts are, where he's seen the Cowboys be. So we're going to leave you this time with some what we think are draft-defining moments of this draft. It could determine where it goes at the beginning of the draft. And next time, we'll get into some more specific nuts and bolts on what we think the Colts should do ahead.
Yes, very much the case.
So what are some things about the top of the draft that you think kind of shift and move things along? Okay,
the top 3 prospects in this draft. The Raiders are going number 1. They need a quarterback. They're not getting rid of anybody. Fernando's going there.
No one is questioning who goes number 1 and where.
If Ty Simpson goes there, I am utterly shocked. Fernando he is NFL ready. He is the most NFL ready quarterback in this draft. Size, mind, heart that it takes, leader, everything is Fernando.
But my question is, he's the best quarterback. Is he the best player in the draft?
No. The best player in the draft is not Jeremiah Love. It is Caleb Downs.
I love it. Oh,
Caleb Downs could have came out last year and still been a top 5 pick, maybe a top 3 pick. He is redefining the safety position. He is great at what he does. He is now. I wish the Colts had capital to get up and get him. I think we could work him into a Cam Bynum and Caleb Downs kind of system. Downs is more of a free safety than a strong.
He plays in the box quite a bit.
Yeah, but I also see him in coverage a lot as well compared to a normal strong.
He would work well in the loose system. Very,
very much so.
Interchangeable.
And also he'd be on a team with his brother, which is great, which is really
Yes.
cool. But I think Jeremiah Love is a close second to him. And then right after that, if you want to talk more about that, the next guy that I think is talent-wise is Jacob Rodriguez, linebacker from Tech.
Wow.
I think he should be the first defensive player off the board. The swagger that he as a linebacker, you have to have some certain type of swagger. He carries a lot of swagger with him. I think he'll fit it into any type of scheme you want him to. He can edge rush. I think he can play coverage as well. We saw that he can play some offense if need be. So those are kind of my top 3 prospects around. So.
All right. I think, okay, you said linebacker. To me, Sonny Styles is far and away the best linebacker, true linebacker, but it's the off-the-ball linebacker question and where he will go. Combine that with the fact of Arvell Reese and David Bailey, the 2 linebacker / edge rushers. Who's going to go first? Where does the other one go? Are fascinating questions that kind of determine the top and therefore the rest of it. Where does Jeremiah Love go is a huge question because he could go as early as 4, maybe even 3.
Arizona.
But then the question is, why would you, the general sense is, why would you draft a running back that high in the draft? He instantly, as a rookie, becomes one of the highest paid running backs and therefore must perform at that level. You don't know, you just face it, you never know exactly what you're getting with a running back.
I will tell you exactly why you draft a running back that high. Running backs are way more into the league now. They're coming back. Look at the big offenses are dual threat offenses. They're not look who got the Super Bowl MVP this past year. It was a running back for the first time in a long time. So you look at it, running backs are coming back.
Should have been the kicker.
I completely agree. And people argue with me about that all the time. I don't understand how you look at it and say that Jason Meyer didn't deserve that.
Yeah, because they weren't long kicks. That's basically.
Yeah. But if you look at it, running backs are coming back. It's more of a dual threat league now, not just passing. And that to me means running backs are so important. And if you can get your guy who has maybe, in some people's minds, maybe the best talent in the draft, why not go get him?
Yeah. And then the other question you mentioned, you brought up Caleb Downs. Where does he go? Again, most people don't want to draft a safety that high, but my defense of that, in defense of you, would be Caleb Downs also is a tremendous return man. And so that instantly becomes a potential. He could sub in as a exotic package on offense, and you could give him the ball in an end around. You could line him up in the wildcat formation. He's not afraid of the box on defense, so give him the box. There's all kinds of options that allow Caleb Downs to be so much more than just a safety, to your point. But I think a big, huge question is, what does Arizona do with the 3rd pick?
Yeah.
I don't know that Arizona wants to be there and draft who they want there. And so Arizona, I believe, is open for business. And so whoever goes up there and who they pick could really determine a lot. The last time that Arizona had the number 3 pick, you know who they traded it to? The team who had the number 1 pick, who came up and that was Houston, got C.J. Stroud. Or no, there was 2. They had the 2nd pick. That's right. It's back to back. And so you know who has the number 2 pick? It's the Jets. They also have the number 14 pick. Thank you to the Colts.
Yeah.
So they could package their 2 remaining first round picks they have the first pick in the second round. They could package those with Arizona to try to jump up and go back to back.
Very true. Yeah. A lot of different scenarios.
So I think that those are all the fascinating things. We'll get way more down in the weeds with the Colts stuff next week. But that's all the time we have for today. I'll be back tomorrow with your mom talking the playoff clinching Indy Ignite volleyball team. And then later this week, we will wrap up the Pacers season and have an off-season update of the Indiana Fever. It's almost time.
Yeah, well, this is Liam.
And this is Kevin.
Reminding you to stay all Indiana sports.
This is All Indiana Sports.